Good morning. So I'd like Isaac, who is the Thought Leadership Chair and also on the Executive Committee of HICIA, to give us the context of this session that we planned. Over to you, Isaac.
Okay, thank you, Funny. So good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I think many of you are familiar with HICIA and maybe should be probably members of HICIA. It is a 33-year plus industry body. To specifically talk about this event and what we are doing related to this and other sessions is, about a year and a half ago, we decided we also want to, in addition to the other activities from HICIA point of view that we are pursuing, we wanted to more explicitly also focus on thought leadership, right? By thought leadership, it covers sessions like this one, other roundtables, maybe with smaller set of people in a specific vertical or an industry, or white papers and other papers that we would publish. So for example, last year we published a Scale at Hyderabad report that is very useful for many of you who are probably setting up or building your organizations here. So under that purview, we do regular sessions, maybe typically once in every 6 to 8 weeks. So this is one such session that we thought, okay, from a timing perspective, it's very important that we talk about this now versus much later because it's a very relevant and current topic. And of course, to set pretty much everybody is from the technology industry, so it is not going to be something completely new. The topic rings a bell to everybody. It's not completely new. I think we are all dealing with two kind of divergent situations, right? At one end, there is a great opportunity that we are all looking at in terms of efficiencies and utilization and what sort of maybe even quality level, what are organizations and functions able to gain because of AI technologies, right? I think this is one side of it. If it is software engineering, it is about development, testing, and other activities. But it is not just limited to that, right? I think we did a session a couple of months ago on AI in HR. There was a very good panel that talked about technology and how AI is helping in that area. And in a month from now, we are going to have a similar session on AI in legal. I mentioned that more from the perspective of we are all able to an extent, contextualize how are these technologies going to help us in terms of gaining efficiencies within the organization, right? I think there is really no doubt about it. But the questions around that side of the equation is about how much gains are we getting? What is the value proposition there that we are realizing as organizations? If you're in the software engineering side, the talk is anywhere between a 20% to 80%, right? So I think at least people are not, I think there is very little people talking about less than 20%. And there is a talk about can there be a 1% unicorn be created? There is also some more extremes beyond 20 to 80%, but largely you hear that. But what is the reality? How much of quantification that has been done? There is a little bit more and more happening on that front, particularly on the software engineering side. But if you look at other functions within our organizations, the tools are there. People are using from Copilot to ChatGPT. There are gains to Gemini. There are gains that are there, but probably not yet in terms of quantification of the value that is getting created there. Now, when we look at on the other side of what is the value that is getting created to customers, right? That is a lot more of a struggle, right? I think we all want to do that. We want to identify existing workflows and create new workflows that can really create more value to our customers, that can be marketed, that can really drive the top line of our organizations. But to an extent for established companies, that is an area everybody is pursuing. Maybe rolled out something to some of our customers, beginning to realize some value. Maybe some things are failing, some things are succeeding, some things will succeed in 2026, right? So this is the other side of the equation we all in our jobs are dealing with. But at the same time, we are also probably seeing some startups which are probably identifying green space, not necessarily trying to do the same thing. They're able to identify some green space which has not yet been automated, some workflows that have been very, very tedious at this point of time. But I've seen there are companies that have built new businesses, right, into that area and very viable and successful, right? So there is an opportunity all the way from a startup and a greenfield point of view, you see success. But from an established company's point of view, you're trying to at one end compete with such startups, at the other end trying to figure out how do you realize value to your current customers, right? I think I wanted to set this up this way that given this is a topic that we're all toying with, we thought from a timing perspective, we would have this panel at this point of time to talk about it. And even when you hear about the larger messaging around it, I think those of us familiar with the late 90s and the .com, I don't know if you remember that Fed chairman Alan Greenspan talking about irrational exuberance. I think if you remember that. And so if I was looking at a headline yesterday, finance headline, they talked about rational AI bubble. I mean, this was in the headline, right? So I'm like, okay, there was irrational exuberance. Now we are talking about rational AI bubble, right? But then it is being rationalized also, right? And we have all seen some enterprise software companies, I would not name the name, but which went 50% up 2 months ago. The stock price suddenly goes up 50%. And today you look at the stock price, it has come back to the same level, right? So there are a lot of these things going on, and we need to figure out, and we are not outsiders also. All of us are in the business trying to figure that out as well, right? So hopefully this is a session that will be helpful. We have assembled some esteemed panels, starting with Achyuta Ghosh, who is a researcher at HFS, and we have other industry veterans and from academia as well for the session today. And this is not going to be the end. We are also beginning to plan our annual summit in February, and we will lean into it more and more into topics such as these that are relevant. Okay. With that, I'll hand over to Achyuta Ghosh.